is, of course, Starcraft 2. And it is, of course, starting us off in the bottom left-hand side of the map. The red Protoss player from the Afrika Freaks. I was about to say Jin Air Green Wings. It is Trap in the bottom left-hand side. As we have got in the top right-hand side, our blue Terran player, ByuN. And what a best of 3 to kick us off today. ByuN and Trap. And I gotta say, you know, this one I always have preferred Trap in. I do think ByuN's TvP at times looks a little bit, I don't want to say desperate, but it has that essence to it, right? Where it gets to a point oftentimes where it just doesn't, you know, he gets to a stage where it's just not quite clicking and things aren't quite working. He's struggling to make things happen. It feels as though he gets stuck on the bio army sometimes in the mid-game and the drop-heavy style. That doesn't mean he can't beat Trap. They've already played 4 times this year, and there are 2-2 in matches. ByuN 4-2 and 2-1 in a best of 7 and best of 3, and then more recently, Trap 2-1 and 2-0 over ByuN. So there is definitely something there to look at. Whoa, what happened to the logo, guys? My bad. That's a little bug that we have on the software that will not happen again. That's just because I had to turn the logo back on. We just, you know what? We're just trying to put the WardiTV logo in your face. You know, we just want you guys to know what tournament you're watching. You know? I just want you guys to know exactly what's happening today. It's WardiTV 2021, okay? Now it's in your faces, now you know. Yeah, it's my bad, guys. Obviously, like I say, when we turned the logo on at the start of the stream, it just, there's a thing where, like, I think I have some hotkey, and I've never figured it out, but there's a hotkey that, like, maximizes my currently selected thing on XSplit, and it's a shared hotkey with something I do in Starcraft. So when I press that hotkey, and I've got the logo selected, it goes boom! And now we know what, what's up. Should leave it over all the time by making 90% transparent. That's real watermarking to the new whole new level. We should leave it up for 90% of the time and, you know, really go full sellout mode. Like, if the tournaments ever struggle to make the, you know, the needed money to keep on running, we're just going to start with, like, a massive logo on the screen. And every sub, we're going to turn the transparency down by 10%. And, you know, after 10 subs, it's gone. But then after 5 minutes, it comes back. It's like, dun, dun, dun. It's a real team effort, you know? Hashtag sellout mode in its finest. All right, obviously, that's not going to happen. What is going to happen is having a very regular start in this TvP. Not really too surprising to see no Reaper out of ByuN in the early stages. Marine first opener is a pretty regular way for ByuN to open. He likes this a lot. It gives him a Marine counter. It helps you to push back this Adept more easily. It does take away some of your scout information. I mean, he's got no information at all right now. He could have SCV scouted. He doesn't even do that. So chooses not to SCV scout with this. And just going to go full eco and into what seems like, I mean, very regular build. Marines into basically a Widow Mine drop. A few Marines push forward, the Adept will threaten the Shade past, and so you've got to respect that. And it makes it very difficult to truly move across the map with these Marines. A Stalker is actually starting to come across as well, so you've got to be careful of that one too. You don't want to let that Stalker show up and these Marines to be kind of stranded on the low ground out in the open. That's where things get very difficult. That's where things become very problematic for you. As these Marines turn around an Adept and a Stalker. Extra gates coming up. Blink is on the way. And Warp Gate finishing on the Cybercore. There's just going to be seen another gateway added on from Trap up in the main base. So all of these gates still coming through, and this Stalker going to pop out, and Trap is going to start to make his way out across the map. So he really is trying to keep up the pressure. Generally, the Adept Shade will provide high ground vision here, but there's just so many Marines. They can actually push down that ramp and push this away very easily. And as the last Widow Mine gets picked up, the medevac is not going to be seen by this probe, so Trap doesn't quite know what the follow-up is here. You know, Trap's information is limited. He doesn't necessarily know that this isn't extra barracks behind this build. I don't think there's anything he's really been able to see just yet that says, right, you know, this is definitely going to be, you know, a factory and a starport and a Widow Mine drop. And right now, units are still moving across the map. It really doesn't feel like he's respecting that possibility in the slightest. 4 gates of Blink Stalkers, yes, brilliant. You can put on some pressure, you can put on some damage. But ByuN's going to come and blow up this mineral line. And even if you deal with it, you're not going to get the kills on the mines. And if you don't get the kills on the Widow Mines, they are going to come back again and again. And that's going to provide constant damage output for ByuN. And that's going to give him a real opportunity as Trap. No, no, no! 12 workers go down to start. Well, that's horrible. Now the Stalkers are going to show up on the natural. They blink up. That's going to be the bunker at the front gets taken down. And I'm just going to be seeing our tank firing. Stalker's taking quite a lot of shots right now, and obviously ByuN's just going to give up the natural, but he can afford this damage because, hey, you just killed 12 probes. You're not actually losing SCVs here, and this is just a case of, as you get an extra tank out, this Banshee as well, anything that will just help push these units back, the better of a position you end up in. 3 Stalkers warp in, though, and this medevac is a little bit stuck in the back here. Kind of low HP. That's an awkward position for it to be in. If it was anywhere else, it could work in from a different angle, but right there is probably worst case scenario for where that where it wants to be. That's going to be a blink in, but he doesn't get the siege tank kill. He has to go back in forward, loses a Stalker because of that. Kind of expected to see the auto turret go down there. We'll see the auto turret now at the front. He will lose the Raven, but it comes at the cost. Another Stalker going down, maybe even 2. I don't know if the one blinked away that was low, if it's that one there, or if it did just die. ByuN obviously still needing to establish the low ground. That tank going down, I felt like that was almost a bit too greedy, right? I kind of expected this tank to move a bit further forward and maybe both the tanks to cover sort of this area here. He went straight for the tank to the low ground. Now he's got a Banshee up as well, though. The Widowmine drop, by the way, does get into the natural. Trap knows about it, at least. So he will bring the probes away. It will just be 1 probe per mine going down. Maybe could have used the Stalker to set that off. As this medevac is low HP, he's going to drop this Widowmine, and he is going to get the block on the 3rd base location. And the medevac escapes away on low HP as well. So keeping that medevac alive is obviously an important little bonus to this as well. The Stalker's come across, going to kill an SCV and blink up into the main base, where they are just going to be, again, that little bit more annoying, using the mobility of the Stalkers now, more so than just the number of Stalkers which he had, right? He hadn't really used the opportunity of blinking in aggressively until now. As the worker counts even up, the ByuN's on 3 CCs. One of the issues for ByuN is that he's on 3 CCs, actually, because his economy was already good even if he didn't have 3 CC, but because he has such a late stim pack and combat shield, there's very few ways for him to really move across the map and take advantage of the early worker damage dealt and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's a cute attempt of a play, as we do see the tank going down. This is a new Raven, by the way, built just for this. That also eats up a lot of time on these tech labs, and maybe even just money that meant that these racks didn't start as soon. I mean, this is going to be, what, like 9.5 minutes stim? This stim is so late, it actually feels as though Trap, who only just now starts the 3rd base, that's also extremely late. It just feels like everything is very slow moving in this game, as we do see 4 Stalkers blinking into the main. They can kill a siege tank. 1 more volley will do it, and there it is, goes down. And ByuN's struggling to keep tanks alive at the moment, as we see the Stalkers now blinking in. Raven doesn't really have any energy to utilize. It's going to go down again, but he gets a few Stalker kills, 1 or 2 more at the very end here. All of these extra racks just in the main base, and still got our Stalkers thinking about maybe hopping on up into the main. Marine's gonna go. I think he dropped the probe to try and soak the siege tank shot. The tank goes down, but the Marines are gonna do pretty well. Remember, the Stalkers can't blink away just yet, so this is a trade out. Stalkers are expensive units. They are not easily replaced because they are quite gas heavy. Behind this, by the way, we go into Storm, and that's such an intriguing follow-up as well. We're so used to seeing this being a Robo-Bait and Colossi on the follow-up. Storm is a really different approach. We've actually seen this a couple times lately. I don't want to say it was necessarily Trap we saw doing it. Who was it? There was someone recently that actually did this, and it might have even been Creator. And I think I was talking about Creator, and I was like, man, well, it's just so weird. Why would you go Storm after Stalkers? And, you know, you could go Colossus, and it just works better. Stalkers support Colossi well. You know, if you go Storm, you kind of usually move in with, a charged out Archon army. It's kind of a very weird thing. It feels like a lot of it is that Stalkers obviously don't really hold their own once the bio gets to a certain number, and the Storm is a very kind of like hold you off ability rather than constant damage output like a Colossus would be. I don't know, like I say, it's kind of a unique one, as we do see the Observer moving forwards, the Prism backing away out down the right side. Geralt? Yeah, was it Geralt? Yeah, that's it, right? It wasn't Creator, it was Geralt. Geralt did this recently, and maybe he was looking at some Trap games and maybe he picked it up off Trap, but this seems to be kind of like a newer thing. But honestly, off the top of my head, I think I look at Storm here and I still don't really like it. You know, think about having 2 or 3 Colossi right now. That to me is very scary. The Storm is like a surprise factor. Yes, don't get me wrong, that Storm is amazing. But it really feels like this is a surprise factor thing more than anything else. If ByuN knows Storm is on the map, there's no way he just sits with everything AFK right there clumped up, right? He's splitting it up, he's moving it around. Alright, well, now you use these as Storm drops, and you get 9 SCVs. But what if ByuN just goes 1-1 against 0-0 upgrades? The High Templar don't have energy in the Prism? I mean, maybe you get one of those storms back fairly soon. As you see our Zealot Stalker continuing through the rocks, and well, ByuN just going to stem forward. Like I say, 1-1 to 0-0 is a pretty big deal. These High Templar do not have a lot of storm energy, by the way. As the Stalkers blink in aggressively here. Obviously, we do not have tanks sieged up at all. Some reinforcements are showing up, but there's not even really Zealots here to like properly chase this away, though. It's such a weird interaction that we're seeing. But I guess the tanks never got sieged up, and because of that, they're obviously not that great. Now that Immortal moved too far forward, it gets caught as well. Stalkers are going to try and move in. Well, that's not a pretty blink at all. Not sure what that blink was, actually. Storm will force units back and keep them away. And again, that's what Storm is good at. But that's not usually what you're aiming to have at this stage of the PvT. But hey, I know I'm knocking this a lot. I'm just trying to discuss, what is a very different way of playing. What is a very different way of getting set up here. As our Prism comes up around the top side. Now we just go into Immortal Archon as well, right? So it's also a very just different style to what we've been seeing lately. We've seen a lot of Colossus, and when you've got Colossus, Disruptor's the next step. You've already got the Robo Bay. So then you can just go into Disruptors very easily, and Disruptors really provide the same idea as what Storm does. And we're going to go into Disruptors behind this, by the way. So it's really cool because we're going to start seeing this kind of Storm Disruptor combo, perhaps. That or we go into just Storm Colossus now. Storm Colossus makes more sense to me, but then I feel like when Geralt did this, he went Storm Disruptor, so maybe it's just a thing. Maximum dodge out of the way of, making sure the Terran has to dodge as much as feasibly possible in every second of the game. I gotta say, one thing that ByuN really led up on was the upgrades. He's now, I'm not going to say behind, but he is going to be behind soon, right? It's getting to that stage where he's only on the 1-1, and he just so far ahead on 1-1. He absolutely should have been able to make the jump to 2-2 much more easily. Obviously, that's just a shame because now it gives Trap that upgrade advantage, even because he never started +2 armor. Although I've got to say, nice that he doesn't start +2 armor. ByuN for a long time, and I remember casting with Harstam and saying, oh, maybe it was Lambo. I was during Asus ROG, so a couple months ago. I was saying, like, man, ByuN, he does this thing. He consistently, all of the time, goes in and he goes in and he starts armor, then attack. And so if one of his upgrades doesn't start, it's the attack upgrade, which is the more important one. So yeah, this time it's attack start and not the armor. So maybe he fixed it. Maybe it was just the way this game played out. That's the full Prism of High Templar, though, down on the right-hand side. So that's already going to fall. As you see, the ByuN's going to press forward. A Storm goes down, an EMP clipping the edge of this army. And then back and forth here will continue as 2-2 coming along. 2-2 from Trap. Extended Thermal Lance coming in. The Disruptor on the way from the Robo facility. I'm still seeing our Zealot of Trap just running on out down to the bottom side of the map. So it's going to escape on out there. This Disruptor shot goes dead sent onto the Marauders. Now the Zealot's in a bit of trouble as well. A couple of EMPs going off. Zealot's taking a lot of damage. Just going to be seeing the Stalker count still getting blown up a little bit as well. It's +3 attack, +2 armor. Continue to come on through. The 2-2 upgrades continuing on the Forges. Our tank still building up here. I'm just going to be seeing our Bioforce continuing around on the top side. We've got a couple of Marines here hitting that Disruptor. Now the Bio Army up the left looking good. Good EMPs across the Zealots and the Archon. Kiting back now as the Zealots continue through this. The Disruptor goes down as well. Bio continue to kite as the Zealots will keep on chasing. I mean, you lose everything as Trap, though, apart from a couple Colossi and a couple High Templar. You lose all of your supporting units, right? And while they are maybe a bit easier to replace, how many of them can you replace in time here? There's now a stranded Archon on this left-hand side, so that will go down. You can EMP it if you really need to. You get rid of it more quickly, but it's just not the situation at all. ByuN is fine. As he falls back up to the top, a Disruptor shot flies, lands on a Marauder and a Siege Tank. Doesn't do all that much. It's been such an interesting transition we've seen here. From the Storms into Colossus, now into Disruptors. He's completely abandoning the Storm game. He stopped making High Templar. So he's just done with that stage of the game. Which is so weird, right? He's kind of used this as like a transitionary effect. It's kind of wild, honestly. This new style of PvT we're starting to see more of is extremely intriguing to me, as we do see the Bioforce of ByuN moving out over the left-hand side. A few units on the right. Ghosts out in the center. Nice little EMP grabs an Observer. Everything joining up down in the center of the map. So, I mean, ByuN is ready to make a fight. He's pretty much maxed out. He did re-add in a single High Templar here. So one High Templar gets added on. There's a couple of ghosts looking at a snipe. Disruptors in the front are being picked away at. One disruptor goes down. Next disruptor shot flies, hits him. Marauder just clips it on the edge there. As we're going to continue to see this army of ByuN moving down to the bottom. Tanks legion up by army. Just taking a clip of a disruptor. This disruptor hits a little better, but honestly, not really well enough. This base is in trouble. Now, that said, Trap is in position to potentially counterattack. He's already got Zealots moving across, but the rest of this army is threatening as well. I mean, it's a scary dance that you're dancing right now as ByuN, because you don't want to send too much down here, get countered, and let this game go into a weird position. Just in general, you don't want your army to be caught off guard either, right? And to be caught with too few units in the wrong place. Ghosts and Vikings going down over on this side. For a moment, he was sending Ghosts back home. The rest of the Ghosts now, though, are back on the front lines, and Trap is setting up the Disruptors to try and make some plays here. Obviously, the Disruptors should be good at buying time. Trap looks as though he may commit to going across the map, and at the very least, shutting off reinforcements. By doing that, he obviously is able to slow ByuN down without committing to the larger fight, which he might not feel good about with Ghosts in play, the siege tank set up in position, and in the position he wants to fight in. Okay, he's actually going to come through. He is going to come in from two sides at the same time, but the Disruptors are all on their own. The ones that are firing already shut down. This was not synced up well at all from Trap. And he comes in from the top way too late. The bottom side army's already gone, and ByuN is going to open with the 1-0 lead here today. Haircut experience over the weekend, and I would say it looks okay. Yes, my girlfriend Nelly cut my fingers off when I was trying to show her which part of the hair to cut next. But apart from that, it was pretty good. I mean, at least on stream it looks good. Apparently it looks a bit weird at the back, but you guys can't see the back of my head anyway, so it's all good, right? Amazing. As we have in the top left, our Red Protoss player, it is Trap. And he is down one map here. As in the bottom right, our blue Terran player is ByuN. As we get going into game number 2 of this best of 3. So getting this run ready to go. Back ahead, can't win. Yeah, I know. It's crazy, right? Hey, bit of aggression from Trap. He's going to open up with a gateway or so on this right side as well, so yeah, just getting this one set up over on the right. Engineering bay on the natural expansion as we get this ready to rumble. Just as we have a little intro then and wait for these couple of gates and this engineering bay block to develop, I just want to mention, of course, guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm not going to lie, ByuN Trap, it's probably going on YouTube. So if you're watching this on YouTube, hello, just want to make a quick mention to say thanks for watching the videos lately, and of course, if you enjoy the videos on the YouTube channel, if you enjoy the cast, we upload the best of the best from the stream and some YouTube exclusives on the YouTube channel once a day. So make sure you hit the subscribe button, leave a like on the video or comment down below. You know, just help with the algorithm. The usual stuff goes a long way. It's just a little YouTube shout out. You gotta squeak those in every now and then, especially after that first game. Kind of guarantees it was good enough to put on YouTube, right? It's already passed, you know. It's already kind of got the the YouTube verification tick. It's like, this series is good enough for YouTube. So this is going to be a little bit odd because Trap is going to come down and see this engineering bay block. He does gas steal, so he puts ByuN in an odd position back at home, as ByuN is going to go into this tree, and he's now building a bunker up as well. I think ByuN is kind of realizing, he's like, why didn't you even try to expand here? You know, why didn't you attempt to take this Nexus initially? And that's why he ended up bunkering up here and getting this ready to go. So yeah, a little bit awkward though, because like I say, this engineering bay is going to stop Trap from expanding for a long time, and while ByuN just expands on the high ground, Trap, his best bet is to maybe expand on the third. That or he's going to be very late. He could take a Stargate now, and that's probably his go-to, right? Stargate and then expand. Otherwise he's going to be really kind of floating a lot of cash. He's just going to drop the Stargate in the back of the main base. So that makes a lot of sense, as the Zealot is going to swipe away at the engineering base still, so putting some good damage out over here. And just going to be seeing our probe, the Zealot nibbling away right now, doing a good amount of damage. Again, just opening the way for this expansion to finally come down at some point fairly near future. Stargate's going to be done fairly soon again. Gateway on the right-hand side. Just chilling as our starport's about to complete. Our command center and the main base still ticking along. And just going to be seeing a Viking already from ByuN. I think he realizes the most likely go-to from here is to Stargate into an expansion. So he says, right, well, I will just set up for that. And go into a nice little kind of, well, Cyclone Viking build, right? Just going to go into this anti-Stargate setup, basically. We do have the Zelda trap making its way along the right-hand side. So Zelda and a couple of Stalkers joining together. Widowmine takes a little bit of damage and just going to be seeing... I mean, this is kind of a fun little push from Trap. I mean, it's not really a push as much as it is just a bit of pressure. Try and scare ByuN from moving down to the low ground for as long as possible. The longer you keep him up in the main, the better it's going to be. This Oracle really just stayed at home. It was, you know, Trap was kind of afraid as to what was going to happen. That's a good force field. It's going to keep the Marines on the ramp, cut a few Marines off, and that's exactly what you're aiming for here. And because it's Cyclone production, you don't have like a way to really break down the ramp. It's not like you can put a tank here and create some space and push these few units away. Right? That's not really possible just yet. I want Adept shading up. Cyclone gets a lock on. Adept taking a little bit more damage. I'm just going to be seeing our unit still looking for the attempt to move down. Again, force field is ready, though, and he's going to get down. And oh, there's a gap in the force fields. Loses a Cyclone, though. Is he going to lose the other one? He will, but he's going to get all of these units. This is fantastic for ByuN. Obviously, he can take this across the map. The Phoenix, to some extent, will generally be good at defending, but the Phoenix can only be so good, and they're not going to be very good when there's absolutely no ground support for them at all. I mean, there's an Oracle, 2 Phoenix, and a Stalker on the map. I think ByuN is just a little afraid as to what is exactly waiting for him out across on the other side. Plus the fact there's an Oracle here. There is, in theory, a lot of SCVs that could be lost if he doesn't respect it. So he does just that. He respects it and moves on over. So you'll see our Phoenix getting pushed back a little bit. And again, this dance continues. Phoenix and the Oracle joined up on the right side. The Marines and the tank, they're going to make their way up here and go for the pylon. Tank sieges. Again, that pylon is about to fall, and map is going to be opened up a little bit as Vikings are going to chase forward. We'll get a Phoenix, and the other Phoenix and the Oracle chased away as well. The couple of gates still coming through. Everything from Trap still joining up together. Here comes that push. Looks like ByuN was just waiting for a tank, which I don't mind. The thing is, you kill those units early. Your army supply advantage doesn't just disappear, right? Unless Trap's being extremely greedy or has a huge eco lead. Which is not really true. He's had a little eco spike, as ByuN took a little while to get his natural expansion mine and so on, but that was really all. He does lose one Viking. Viking loss is actually kind of a big deal, because Viking's going to help a lot against these Phoenixes. One Phoenix gets targeted down, though, the second as well. Now the tank's coming down onto the ground. Is there going to be enough power on the ground with these Adepts and Stalkers to clean this up? The tank now target firing Stalkers. The Vikings will land too. I think Trap's going to hold, but it's again an expensive trade out. This time, he has all of his tech reset. Right? You lose all of the Phoenix, you lose the Oracle. I mean, it's just like I say, the tech reset. Now you don't have anything to really play with apart from gateway units. And from ByuN's point of view, that's great. You take away a lot of tools that Trap would have liked to use to create advantages in this game and to create positive situations. Now, well, Trap does get a cleanup on this ByuN army, but I still stand in favor of ByuN. He is killing it here in this game number 2 and this game number 1 as well. He's doing fantastic so far. So 10 out of 10. Yeah, loving his performance here. Gets me a little bit hyped. We've had some very Terran favored groups so far, by the way. It's not like we need another Terran to make it to the playoffs, but I mean, I would be lying if I was to say I was not a little bit of a ByuN fanboy. So it's always great to see ByuN showing up. But of course, I mean, I would kind of love to see Trap moving through as well. Trap is undoubtedly the best Protoss player in the world right now. So it would be a shame if Trap didn't be out of this group. Of course, we are early days here. This is our first series of 10 to be played in the group. Even if Trap loses this one, it's very possible he advances through. Remember that 3 players out of 5 will advance, but first place in the group will go straight to the round of 8 and bypass the round of 12, which is where the second and third place finishes will go to. Deb's trying to shade into that natural as Trav is making it complicated with this Prism and a few Stalkers here and there, but ByuN is trying to simplify the situation. He is on a third base, he's got tanks, and he's got Stim on the way up with 1-1 upgrade. So ByuN is really going to be having absolutely everything he could ever possibly want here very soon, as meanwhile Trav is just trying to find his way to Colossi. You know, first one about to pop, doesn't even have extended thermal lance started yet, so we're missing that upgrade, which is going to be a costly endeavor for Trap. So he's going to have to build that and another Colossus. I mean, he is strapped for cash. 59 probes, the 57 SCVs isn't pretty. That should be a ByuN eco lead here or there. Maybe just now it hasn't been because he had to transfer to this third base, but you'll see it starting to tilt into ByuN's favor, and it will kind of, remain that way until Trap gets a fourth base up, perhaps. And that ain't pretty, because usually it's the Protoss that's meant to take that early economic advantage. That Bio army moving up the left-hand side. I'm just going to be seeing the army moving over to the left. Bio pulls up to the top, couple of medevacs setting up, and we do have the 2 Vikings on the left have actually just pushed the Prism back over here. So keeping that back, as we do see now the Bio stimming up this round. Couple of tanks will siege, and just going to see a battery already going down. These Vikings want to land, but I don't know what success they'll really find against the battery. But dropping the main, and maybe Trav will just have other things to think about. I mean, at the very least, he's going to do some good job at draining the battery energy. Charge did finish here, so this drop will maybe not be as successful as ByuN was hoping for. He'll lose one of the Vikings to a cannon. It's just a weird time to give up Vikings when Colossi are on the field. Any Viking is only going to help you out here. As ByuN, is he going to get out of here in time? It looks like he's gone before Trap can come in from the bottom and the left-hand side. So ByuN escapes what seemed like almost an inevitable surround. Well played by ByuN. Knew his timing to get out of there, and he's gone. Nice, he's going to clean up these rocks, make his own life easier when it comes to switching between low ground and high ground, depending on where Trap wants to push. Give himself some more space to work with as he just tries to get the tank sieged. He's got Widow Mines to help out as well. It's great against the Zealots. I am still a bit worried because he is looking to defend the low ground while Trap is looking to attack from the high ground. So it's a matter of having to move up this ramp, right? Unless Trap is just going to chase down this ramp into ByuN's army. That means he's going into the Widow Mines here and into the tank fire. ByuN overwhelms the initial Zealot forces, and that really scares Trap off a little bit. Trap will step back a little. He will try and just play the position. He's got depots to pick off for free here and access into the natural. And ByuN has units that are on this right side as well, so he can kind of come in from the 2 angles here to make this a decent concave. And if there's not enough Zealots here, this army of Trap would absolutely just melt. He's also 0-0 against 1-1. And one thing that ByuN did in the last game was he gave up the 2-2 advantage. This time he's well on his way to 2-2. Pretty much as far along percentage-wise as the 1-1 is of Trap. So he's going to maintain an upgrade lead for the future fights as well. So again, might just seem like I'm shouting all about ByuN right now, but this game is all about ByuN. You know, everything he's doing, that's the key play from Trap, using the Adept to splash and the Colossus splash onto the Adept to kill the Widow Mine. But everything positive in this game has been happening for ByuN. I mean, the best thing that can happen for Trap right now was if he was to spot these medevacs and ByuN just dodges the Observer. Maybe Trap figured it out anyway, because he seems like he's looking for a drop up to the top. Definitely seems like he's somewhat aware that this might be happening. Oh, but he doesn't catch it, and now the medevacs, they are gone. Hello? Is ByuN just like... Does he just have Protoss sensors on these medevacs? You know, they're about to fly into Protoss here, so they go beep, 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 beep. Like that annoying kind of sound on your car if it wants to reverse and into something. Oh my god, he actually just avoided every piece of Protoss vision here. ByuN, he would be a master at any kind of stealth game, as we just see Bio in the main base then is unanswered because Trap was not expecting it to get here. He played Stalkers to the top side to stop it getting in. And we're just going to be seeing, well, now Bio on the left side as well, because Trap just overreacted to the main base, pulling everything there. Not even sure it's an overreaction, really. It's probably just a necessary reaction. But in doing so, he opens the way for ByuN to come into that third base and to really just close the game out. Geez, what a series out of ByuN.